president of Emerson Asia, which includes India. Emerson is an automation solutions provider. We talk about our work as instrumentation ground to cloud. And in India, we have a huge presence, so very happy to be here today.
Hi, I'm Vivek Sharma, and I handle energy strategy for the Dani Group.
Very welcome to all of you. I'm Rajeev Gupta, Director of Projects in Unveils. Unveils is basically a micro-consultant in oil and gas sector. As part of the transition, energy transition, which is on the anvil, and has already started, we are already providing solutions, for green hydrogen, green ammonia, biofuels. In fact, we are building one of the world's first biorefinery, and that's it from our side. And we have solutions for the complete transition as such.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Deepak. I head Schneider Electric in India. We are now 60 years present in the country with almost 37,000 people. And our primary objective is to decarbonize the areas we work with our energy management and automation solutions to find the areas where we can build something sustainable tomorrow. I'm very happy and very pleased to be here with all the panelists.
Hello everyone, I'm Tapan Reddy, responsible for the green hydrogen business at Rainbow. Very happy to be here.
So we have a mixed panel representing both manufacturers, the engineering of the projects part of the value chain. My first question is to you, Susan. Just make this real for us. I mean, we heard a lot of these big words on transition, dilemma, but really on the ground, what's really changing? What opportunities do you see? The business right now?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. As I think about some of the current developments and trends, I believe it begins always with energy efficiency, if you start there. Because ultimately, a typical industrial plant, 30 to 50% of their operating costs are related to energy that they have to use to power the industrial plant. So any opportunities to reduce that has long been an objective. This isn't new. But what is new is the opportunity to use advanced instrumentation, advanced process control, coupled with a lot more analytics to be able to optimize these different processes. So let me give you an example. In combustion is a key one, of course. The optimization of combustion, huge energy source, as well as, sometimes in a refinery we see 60% carbon emissions from fire heaters. That's an example. Being able to get that ratio of air to fuel optimized is critically important. And using analytics to do that in addition to instrumentation has really been able to save what we see a lot of our companies some significant money. The second one I want to talk about is, and again, this is very specific. This isn't pie in the sky, but heat exchangers. Heat exchangers and the fouling that typically happens in a plant. The traditional method of looking at heat exchangers has been just regular maintenance, scheduled maintenance during turnarounds. The opportunity to pair wireless instrumentation with cloud analytics to get more real-time data in a real-time way can truly prevent some of these issues and provide predictive maintenance. So we see that as another key area to improve on that front. I won't go through all the other ones, but the other key thing to think about is just in general leak detection, whether it's steam, whether it's compressed air gas, how across the site, all of that requires energy. How to reduce those leaks. There's lots of sensors and acoustics to hear and listen to those leaks, but the trick is being able to set that up in a way that you can optimize not just for one asset, but see across the entire site and really reduce the energy associated with fugitive emissions or some of these leaks that are occurring. So I do see that as a true enabler. That's the first piece. That's all of energy efficiency, what we can do today and has been done. Coupling instrumentation, flow valves with analytics is a really great thing. opportunity. And if you think about, I mean, just recently we heard, it was a day ago, the new solar policy plan here. The opportunity for consumers to also be producers on the power grid and add renewables in the process is a fantastic way to keep decarbonizing and really change that landscape. But in order to do that, these grids need to be significantly more sophisticated in the overall management of it. The intermittent use of renewable powers, the difference in the inertia from AC to DC is a very different mechanism. So having the right digitization and solutions to manage that grid of renewables is a great way to see some of that happen. So those are my two key areas that I see today that we're working on, that energy efficiency aspect as well as the decentralization work that's happening.
So just one follow-up question. You just touch upon what has changed recently.
Yeah.
Both from the ability to do these things
Yeah.
and also from the customer sensitivity to wanting to do these things.
Well, I think let me start actually with the customer sensitivity. Like I mentioned, when you change the equation of profit or return on investment, that's always a win, always has been. That's not new. I think the sensitivity around sustainability and using these efficiencies coupled with sustainability efforts, everybody can get behind. And sometimes we struggle on the sustainability efforts and ask what the return is. But if you look at that efficiency aspect of the equation and see that return, it's a no-brainer. And so I do see the pressure that a lot of producers and companies face on sustainability, in addition to the fantastic incentive of saving the bottom line, is a great way. From a technology perspective, what I believe is changing significantly truly is taking these individual assets, these individual measurements, being able to aggregate it and look at the data in a holistic way where people aren't waiting on just routine maintenance, having to walk out to the asset to measure it, thinking that there's leaks but not sure where they are, instead having a dashboard where the leaks are happening and choosing the right assets about where you look at that. And then I think enables a significant improvement. In fact, what we have seen, some of the Emerson data shows that putting all that together can save a industrial plant up to even 5% of their energy costs. It's a huge number if you think about their total operating budget. So that's how I would into that next piece is really key.
You pose the same question. What opportunities do you see in real opportunities? And also the second one, what has changed recently? We may touch upon that. I will just give you a little bit of my own anecdotal experience. When we work on operations, work with clients, we used to earlier look at energy efficiency projects. Clients will always have a hurdle rate or whatever. I've actually seen the hurdle rates go down because now there is a pseudo sustainability or carbon price in a way that's being put. I mean, it's not a whole lot, but like projects where 15%, 12%, 2% cut out and some down to 10% on the basis. You can just touch upon that also. I've seen customers changing the way they buy.
Thank you, Vishal. And I think Susan gave a very good example. I will start first 2-3 comments before directly going to the answer. I think this is not about only any more board discussions. It's not only about ROI. If you live in a city like I live, like Gurgaon, if you don't have air to breathe, I don't know what will you do with the money we will leave in banks for your kids and grandkids because there will be no planet to breathe, right? So the challenge is not anymore about do I get money back. I'm not saying these are not important points, but I think the problem is bigger. The problem is all those challenges we see from the climate change perspective, and these are all numbers which all of you know, I'm just repeating why is it important. And if you don't achieve the decarbonizing or in order to eliminate the carbon emissions by 2050 numbers or 2035 commitments, and we don't bring the curve back, we would have problems just to survive. Right? It's only a matter of years, probably have more, but I know my kids, my younger ones have to suffer, right? And I'm sure the other generations will suffer. So this is the real problem. We understand the ROI part. Then it comes the problem is the countries like India, where the energy sector is going to double. The electricity demand is going to go by 6-8 times in the next few years. All of us in this room are excited to build more. That means we're going to consume even more. So while you have already a problem of what we have in the way we use, we're going to even use more or double than this. So the problem will only become even more severe if we don't act. I think that's something which we all know. Now coming to the practicality, is it possible to solve? The answer is yes. Are your customers solving it? The answer is yes. And yes, there are government and regulators who are putting it mandate to do it, but I would not only go that way. I think now the consciousness of the people to drive use cases is realistic. And there are enough examples. And I go to the smallest person in the ecosystem. Let's take a farmer. We would believe he would be using a technology, right? There were days when the farmers used to drink water from a diesel engine, normal diesel starter, normal pump. Now, if you go to the rural parts of the country, you will find they have also decarbonized. There is a solar panel. The solar panel is run first where a DC inverter. It's directly controlling the pump, and then there is no emission anymore, right? So if it has happened to that level, now let's come to the people like us in the room who are running the biggest electro-intensive industries in the market. Now, again, take real examples. The real solution is if you all are conscious, and of course the ROI challenge is reducing, it makes more sense. We have use cases now established in the industry that the more you digitize and the more you electrify, the possibilities and the hope to decarbonize the ecosystem is visible, and you can deliver those use cases. We have real examples in the country, and I don't have the NDAs to take them, but there are multiple end users in this country who are already going that route of electrifying the infrastructure, and then the efficiencies or the benefits are anywhere in the tune of up to 70% achievements in savings, right? So this is for real. This is not anymore a boardroom discussion or a PowerPoint discussion. This is here. I mean, I have an approval at least to talk about one place out of India. It's the Abu Dhabi oil company. I mean, we have put the entire process into it to their visual of the whole process. And the savings are in the tune of few $100 million, right? So the point I want to make is that this is possible, this is real, this is here, only way to deliver, and everybody in the ecosystem is participating to make it happen. I would not leave it this for the boardroom to say if the board says, the government says, the regulator says we should do it. I think everybody in this room has a role to participate in the ecosystem, because it's not for just the society or the company, so just not for the company, but for the society. And somehow the coming together of a full ecosystem is where these technologies will help. And again, happy to talk more. Our own factories, we have 30 factories in the country, 5 of them are smart. One of them was recognized as by World Economic Forum as lighthouse. In Davos this year got recognized as sustainable lighthouse. It's all connected, digital, and the efficiencies just by making them smart through electric and connectivity has given us wastage is down by 40%, carbon emissions are down by 70%, electricity consumptions are down more than 30%. So all these real cases are available to showcase that if we all decide to jump into the story, it's possible and we should do it and we can do it. Did I answer your question, Vishal, in a very long answer, or I did not?
No, you did, but maybe if your NDA allows, can you pick one specific use case which 5 years back people would not do and now are willing to do?
So let's take a process, and let's take an oil and gas process, or let's take an cement process, let's take a chemical process. 5 years ago, we would get leads, which was primarily about saying, can you power that process? There's a company our job was to plug them, just give me the energy, and the rest we manage through a normal process of running. Now when we go to those design codes, when you're writing the specs, the whole story is how do I write a project? Again, I can't think the name. By making it the efficiency of the system so that it's the carbon emissions are less, the CO are less, and we actually have now tools available that by just using those artificial intelligence tools or simulators or twins, digital twins, we can simulate that if I design this process, and we do some projects in Indigenous India also, then you can define that by writing a new process which is again more electrified, more digital, we can save so many million tons of CO2s by the process, right? So just replacing basic things, replacing gas by electricity, running consumption at every level of your ecosystem, which is more sensorizing or IoTs enabled processes, and then bringing the layer of digitization, which is more on the softwares through our brand of the Vega, where we bring those analytics to artificial intelligence and run the process in a way that can really deliver you. So these are real examples. Sorry, I don't have the names allowed to talk, but happy to show you these real cases in our own setup to launch to be interested.
So I'm tempted now since you named I was anyways going to go to him. You know, I don't know whether you can share, but let's say you have $100 worth of projects where you're providing engineering services. How much of those are growth and how much of those are like transition or efficiency improvement? Okay, that's one. And second, just give us some examples on where customers like use up pretty much the entire oil and gas chemicals industry. So where customers are coming and asking for more, I would say efficiency or decarbonization.
You see, first of all, let me be very clear that as such, if you see the roadmap, future roadmap, it has to be green. There is no question about that. And as part of project executions, the percentages of projects, which are coming out, the technologies, which are being used, in the upcoming projects, are definitely more focused towards renewables, sustainable, and providing energy efficient schemes and provisions to the end user. You asked for a percentage, I would say that, whatever is under execution now also, there are means and ways available, and the tendency is to bring in renewability into that to the extent possible. That's the roadmap. But in addition to that, to be very honest with you, there are other issues also which needs to be answered in this journey towards renewables or greener alternatives. Some of these, which are very apparent, and I'm sure, my fellow panelists on boards, but from the manufacturing side, must be facing these issues in their, roadmap towards greener alternatives. Is availability of raw materials. If I talk about EV, lithium is an issue. If I talk about green hydrogen, electrolyzers, iridium is an issue. If I talk about wind energy, again we have specific raw materials, which availability of that is a concern. Second, the infrastructure. The infrastructure also has to cope up with the transition, which is planned in the coming years. For example, hydrogen, we talk about green hydrogen. We should have plans for the dispensing stations. We should have plans for the hydrogen pipelines. We talk about even for the grids, like the capability of grids to handle renewable energy. Third is availability of skilled manpower. So that's a very important aspect. The kind of technologies, the kind of automation, the kind of AI, the kind of IoT tools, which we are planning to be implemented as part of that energy efficiency needs skilled manpower. And that is where the corporates have to build a roadmap to train the manpower, to augment the skilled manpower, and maybe cross-functionality also will help us in optimizing our resources. Another important point manufacturing industry, which is we have a very resilient and flexible manufacturing industry in India. But at the same time, the capability and capacity assessment, the enhancement of that is again a very key area, which probably the manufacturers need to address to take this forward.
Let me just press on that point. I take this one use case, as I said, not share. So we are one of those rare countries where our refinery capacity is fertilizer capacity is which is not true across the world. Across the world is so if you take any one use case, if I take let's say SMR versus electrolysis, would you say that people are actually considering or debating between the two, or pretty much all the expansions are going to be still SMRs?
I'll be very honest on that. Let us be very clear. It's going to be a mix and match. It's not going to work like a switch. Like from tomorrow, the XMR is not there. That's not like to happen. It's not going to happen. And definitely, in a country like India, which is gushing for energy, which is demanding energy, and we are all aware that at present, India is one of the few growing economies in the world. The manufacturing sector over here, with a GDP of at present with a GDP of 13 to 15%, is planned to be enhanced to something like 20 to 25%. To meet the exponential demand which is going to come, and that is imperative simply because we are on roadmap to be a 5 trillion economy in the next couple of years. In addition, the vision of Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji to make India a developed nation by 2047 or Viksit Bharat is again a driving force, which will envelop all sorts of energy. It is going to be a mix and match, and these technologies. Right now, we may say that this is on an infancy stage. That was the same story with the solar also when it came in. I remember very categorically the price of something like 18 rupees per unit, which now is something like 2 rupees per unit. That's what is going to happen, but it's going to take some time. By the time we can say that it is a switch, but all kind of energies, whether it is oil and gas, whether it is solar, whether it is biofuels, whether it is green hydrogen, is required for this transition. It has to be a mix and match.
Good point for if I may ask you now the side of the story. And I don't want you to restrict only to green hydrogen, that's one of the main areas, but I'm assuming you are offering like a suite of decarbonization solutions, whether it's renewable storage or green hydrogen. What's your experience been from the customer side on propensity to take that up and what's I mean, we heard three views. We heard obviously customer viewpoint changing, what I heard was growing, technology helping making it cheaper, but your experience was.
Sorry. Thanks. I think like people mentioned, this definitely in the last 1.5 years, the conversation has gone from low levels standardizing to real levels. There is no other compared. I have an India where I get to see a couple of things, so that I can satisfy your question. Our renewable supply last time we done it on the company power on that's hardcore manufacturing. These industries previously would of course be very driven by cost of will see a lot of it. Of course, I think here we normally not talk about it, but we really like to appreciate you all. Such government often not being, we also have to appreciate that. I think the government of India has got astoundingly well in creating this and doing policy freedom. The one side of the real schemes that they reduce, I would say what we have breakneck speed. And every day they come to 1 month here and there they made. That was fantastic. Things we can't do IRA US, you do our cash, money. They were the great in India. People don't talk enough about it. That's the greatest policy support for electrification that any country in the world has done. So things are moving on that front. I'm very optimistic about that. This is a change that is irreversible and will only gain pace.
Now, the renewable part, honestly, is purely commercial. I mean, if you see today for anyone to look at coal or any other source, the depreciating currency in India versus 25-year hedge cost of power, it's a no-brainer.
I agree, but I think I don't think derivatives are going to be commercial because it's happening. It's happening because in Europe, policy change is real. Anyone in Europe, CBAM is real. 2026 January, every year for the next decade after that, 10%, increments of 10%, every rule that comes into Europe will be charged. So 50% of carbon intensity will be charged for carbon tax. Right? So that will definitely create a market for green hydrogen derivatives and then become again commercial just like renewables. But again, renewables also become commercial today because we buy data centers at night. Just say, there was $3 rupees power, but government introduced RPOs, right? Renewable purchase obligations. Very good policy support to make it happen. And then the industry, the economy is so it will happen.
Do you think that it's an opportunity for Indian manufacturers from an export point of view? Because I would believe India would probably be one of the cheapest power costs to benchmark green to green, and of course not on gas basis.
Well, we started on this journey 3 years ago now, actually. India was nowhere on the map. People even used to talk of North Africa with all its uncertainties, politics and security. There were Chile, there were Australia. Today, you go to any global conference or any global discussion, India is right there. US pattern it because of IRA, and then there's India and there's China. They have competition with China. They don't think it's scale. Now, I think this is the greatest opportunity for India because from a strategic aspect, no one wants an exposure to China supplying green, to support green manufacturing because of the big politically, we're in a great situation like that, right? I think this is the movement for us to get on this back, the green manufacturing background. I'm very optimistic that the stars are also ahead for us. The government support is aligned for us. I think this will be a good.
Let me come back to the opportunity I want to discuss with the other panelists. What governments will make commitments from a manufacturing perspective also, whether it is solar modules, whether it is, I heard wind turbines as well. I know there are others as well, but kind of make big bets on new energy. What's the thesis behind that? What's the thought process?
Now it's clear that supply chain is crucial for electrification. Co-analysis comes to the fact that there is critical mineral for electricity supply requirement to be electrification. Just to give two examples of where we are in this stage. You're right that we are also manufacturing. We already have 4 gigawatt cell module. energy transition component on the manufacturing side to see as an opportunity. One of them is copper. We are going, our copper plant is going to get commissioned this summer. And as we move along, we will see for all other critical resources which are essential to meet the energy transition demand, we are able to manufacture them and have the backward integration goals. Even for that matter, hydrogen, we are creating the entire ecosystem which includes electrolyzer and of course this control over supply chain, solar, wind, machines, etc. will help create the entire ecosystem. But why we are doing this? One, of course, there's a domestic market which we know we find body, and whereas there is a trade view not only in India but outside India also that every country will have like to have a make in India kind of thing. So other countries are also thinking that the IRA and bad what this is that they will have manufacturing over there, and there is what we call a China story. That's for the domestic market. Even just to add to your first question, there is a reality part. What is real is also what you have right that CBM is real. You can't sell BX cement. You can't sell your cement or other products. We are doing a lot of products to we know there will be a premium tax. That's real. The advantage, the flip side is I think that we should all as an Indian should accept this. That we are going to double in fuels for growth. Which means we will have incremental new production, incremental new demand. Doing a new green or energy transition for an incremental thing is much more easier than doing something which is already in place. So I think that's a big advantage India has. If today, tomorrow I have to say, for example, I give this example, we are setting up a power plant. From day one, we have a plan to have the least emission reduction. It has its method as an energy reduction, but we have a captive RE. We are trying to invest with RTC to the power. Similarly, for steel plants, I know there is some ahead. They will start talking about the TRA from the day one. So I do see India as an opportunity because we have fresh new incremental demand and we can plan the day one that we have to do it well. For example, let's talk about buildings also. All our new buildings, we are thinking to go energy efficient building codes. Now think of Europe or say France. They can't do it because they have to retrofit and do all the things. So that's very complicated. I agree there will be disadvantages to the existing one, but there also one has to work towards it. So from that perspective, it's a very good opportunity in India. Whether it is ports, in our case, whether it is cement, whether it is petchem, all have an ESG plan in place to decarbonize as much as possible. Ports, in fact, the next 2 years will be decarbonized. Everything will be green. So I think the real thing which gives an opportunity, which is a bigger, larger point, is of course the energy security. And I'll dovetail with now food security because 80% of our fertilizer we import in terms of in the form of ammonia. And of course there is a good ammonia market outside India which we should commercially cash. But domestic market itself, 80% of our imports for ammonia for energy or direct ammonia is something the market to look at. From a food security perspective also, maybe government is also keen that we must look at if we can domestically produce green ammonia to substitute that. Okay. Yeah. Question, what is challenge or what is that to say? Also here is that right now the cost or the scale, the cost is high and you will not receive that scale to get the green hydrogen especially into a play. There is a lot of talk happening, but we are looking for a scale where the cost has to come down. As other panelists mentioned, at the end of the day, government is there to give you support initially. If it is really have to write the solar story, we need to have a very strong, visible scale offer to the investors to work towards it so that the hydrogen cost really comes down to a level where we don't need to ask subsidy support. Maybe the will pay a premium for green versus grey hydrogen, grey ammonia versus green. So commercially it will make sense to also bring down the cost, but chicken and egg, we need to get some scale visibility clear.
You mentioned the word IRA. We were doing a little bit of benchmarking on sales price of certain electrical goods in India versus US. I was shocked, for example, when the basic stuff is transformed. So it's solar panels like 1.8x. Is this opportunity real? And what does this mean from a manufacturing footprint perspective? Is there an opportunity to make more in India for global markets? I mean, we've been hearing about manufacturing share of GDP increase for a long time, but is this the time, especially given the price disparity and supply chains?
What's your question, Vishwa?
Yeah, is this real? Do you see this also the arbitrage between like making here and exporting to a larger extent than it was?
Okay. So, I'm sure some of us, I live in the US for a few years, right?
Yeah.
The price of McDonald's Happy Meal there and Happy Meal here is not the same.
Yeah.
But we still go to McDonald's, kids are crazy and it's all food, right? So I would say the disparity is there, but again, it's the ecosystem. The same way the products you talk about,
Yeah.
the products we sell in the country, the pricing, the selling price in India is different. I mean, sometimes India is seen as the most competitive market when it comes to our selling prices, which only brings me good news. I mean, as the head of the country, that means I have more challenge to optimize my cost and serve the customers, right? And when you optimize the cost with a global quality, because you don't say in India I sell a product which is just enough quality, you have to still manage the same quality standards, because the plants we have or the process we have, these all processes are global processes, right? Be it a project or a Reliance project or a Greenfield project, and they are all globally established players, so the quality delivery is the same. So what I'm saying, the equation is you have to develop the same product, you have the same quality and the meat, and then your cost pressure. So that only helps us to be actually more competitive in the world market. Today, in my company, we export around 30 plus countries from our continent. So I think it's an opportunity. It can only do better, and with all the, again we come back to the government for complaints, but I think this is a good thing. The support we get for the government to actually innovate more for the global, and that's a big machine for Schneider in the country. We have almost 6,000 digital engineers just doing development for the group globally. This is only encouraging us to how to use the strength of India in an economical structure for the group. So for me, it's real, it's an advantage, and I lived in China too. There were days when China used to be the global factory. Beyond the political challenges we have, I think from a cost optimization, India is almost there now when what China used to produce. We're not in every sectors, but in the sectors I come from, we are already competitive with them as an alternative. So it's not just political, I think we are getting the scale, we're getting the knowledge, we're getting the exposure, we're getting the learning, we're getting the innovation, we're getting everything. So I think it's for real, it's no more theoretical part. Did I answer your question?
Yeah,
I think your question was on more violence. What's happening on the ground? My understanding is that because of IRA, you have seen price of the cost gone up for the lab permits. So the installation cost of solar, which was almost about doubled there. And the IRA impact has become inflationary in terms of then they get back the subsidy. That's one part to it, but more importantly, I'm not sure US as a market, especially for green hydrogen over here, is there plus. But they are quite, if you look at the split of the regions also, they are quite focused on blue hydrogen because they are development. So I think so every region, every country will go with their strengths. So my sense of their preference or their offtake for blue hydrogen is much more than the green hydrogen. And they have a
especially anything to do electrical. I mean, it's got to do largely with renewable, etc. But with the renewable, you have the grid and all the other things which are happening. So when you have such disproportionate room in the capex cycle, then it will throw up this disparities for a long time. Which is why I took the example of a transformer. Not use a burger here and send to US, but come use a transformer here and send. I just wanted to calibrate, is that real? Because I'm seeing that across cables, transformers, I mean, anything with an electronic obviously, I would just see a huge price disparity between what we sell to the markets. And this is the strength of India. I mean, there's a fairly established electrical value chain. It may not be all sectors, but electrical value chain has been kind of where
Lots of thoughts on this one. I think, just to reflect, there's no question that the IRS definitely sees a project shift from Asia. We see that with our customers. Some projects that we operate in on Asia shift over to the US. I think the interesting piece of just sort of the macroeconomics of what's happened recently is government involvement, like IRA, like other things, and the security component has really reshaped the economic equation, though, in a big way. Where pure economics would say free trade wins. Because of different things that are going on in the world right now, however, partnerships between countries like the US and India are absolutely critical to win, I believe, in the certain space in particular. And because of that supply chain security that's being driven everywhere for every company thinking about that, this actually is a really big opportunity. Do we see price differences? Absolutely. And there's always arbitrage opportunities as you think about it. But I think the real value of some of these different dimensions and how governments are doing this is the countries that are working around innovation and collaboration. Because at the end of the day, we always win in a market when it comes to a product that's differentiated. And so the ability to have the best innovative stuff commands the right value. And I think what's exciting that we're seeing in India is that ecosystem of innovation happen here at a different level. I think one of the panels mentioned, which I really like the thought of, is in comparison to Europe, where the infrastructure is already built out, the opportunity to incorporate some of these advanced technologies, it's advanced thinking, bringing renewable energy generation to a traditional oil and gas site. You can do that now. That kind of innovation will happen here. The likelihood of that happening in other countries, especially greenfield type operations, won't happen as much. I think the last comment that I do want to make as well, just kind of the commentary around scalability. There's no question scalability helps big time from a cost perspective. But if you look a little bit longer term and you think about scalability will be what exists in China versus India, the demographic part of the equation is also truly important. China has taken a number of people out of their workforce for 2 years in a row. India has an incredible workforce that's coming up that's young, that has an immense amount of potential. So while today, short term, we see some of these challenges, we think about that, the potential long term, as I think about the demographic, in concert with the incredibly innovative, highly technical skills force that's coming out of India, I think that will overcome price levels in a big way.
Yeah.
Manufacturers as a business entity has to evolve on various levels as part of this transition journey. Actually, we have these numbers. We all know these numbers. Solar is going to increase by 5 times. EV is going to increase by 3-folds, 4-folds. Green hydrogen is going to increase by 5, 27 times, whatever it is. But let's be honest, manufacturers have to be their own. They need a complete ecosystem with them to evolve. It starts from the consumer, demanding eco-friendly needs, demanding eco-friendly products, and the sovereign government stepping in, providing the facilitation and the necessary enablers to, I would say, enable manufacturers to move and step into this that's the complete scenario. And to be very honest with you, I think Indian industry, if you see, it has evolved to a very large extent. In last decade or so, it has really matured, and it is us, as our major stakeholders, who have been working with this industry, hand-holding this industry, which is, if I talk about the refinery segments, almost 90 to 95% is already indigenized in India. If I talk about the petrochemical segment, 70 to 75% has been indigenized in India. But now to take it to a next level forward for the new technologies which is coming up, it's also the R&D which will play a major role. And we have all read that, as part of the ecosystem to be provided, Government of India in this recent budget also have allocated almost 1 lakh crores of R&D funding, to develop this ecosystem. So it's a whole gambit, which has to move and evolve for this journey together.
It's a point taken. We can now I'm conscious of time. I have a couple of more questions, but if anybody in the audience wants to, you can take one or two from the audience. Kindly survey.
You're stopping them further.
There are two exits and rights. Anybody wants to address the panelists? Okay, one thing about lunch, I want to just throw one in the air for anyone who wants to take it. So, I personally feel the smoke to or renewable electricity is kind of done and dusted. And I don't think there is a question on that. It's just a question about what pace you do it. All industrial manufacturers, the hydrogen will get there. You kind of look at so what's next? If you look at if I take any typical manufacturing setup, what's the next thing out there that we need to solve? I think of one, for example, what you do heat, and how do you solve for clean heat kind of process, or anything which you think is the next frontier?
I think the RE is still one there's a point where it will be able to 24/7 RE, or say 80%, 90% time, slowly will have an issue for Indian electromagnetic. There, yes, we are going to be because then we are going to be AC. But I think battery is one area where the entire world will work. That I think one will still need to go because right now the cost and the technology goes down.
I think already some steps have been taken as part of the ecosystem. We have the PLSE, where this incentives that give us subsidy increases batteries, and we already have the manufacturers who are lined up. And I think very soon you will hear manufacturing of that happening in India. What I am doing. So, yeah, price obviously, price. Let's be very honest, because cost effectiveness is going to be a major pillar. If I'm producing a thing which is not cost effective, nobody's going to buy it. So that's the first, I would say, the key milestone which every manufacturer should cross. And for that, as we all know, we discussed also, gradually as the technology evolves, as the process evolves, till that has not evolved, the ecosystem, the sovereign health will provide you the roadmap for bringing the cost of the technology, for bringing the cost of the material, for bringing the cost of the manpower. Then ultimately at the end of the day, it has to be cost effective. The long cost effectiveness, and let me be very honest with you, the value has been produced in India to be cost effective.
I'm sure you guys will solve it. What I meant is done industrial bleach, when you see more saying what's not solved for. When you look at any manufacturer's emissions, you solve for the electricity. What is already electrified, you solve for it. You make it better by putting it in storage, right? You have some of the energy efficiency measures to reduce the energy. I still see, for example, one piece that for a glass manufacturer, for example, your furnaces, I'm assuming are not fired by electricity, are fired using some form of I still don't know how do you solve. I was like more future looking. Is there anything to watch out for? You people probably will have good reading lunch on that.
For a company like technology company like us, I think the biggest thing is the artificial intelligence, which is more technology in use. So I don't think in the area we want to serve the room. I really need a new innovation. I already have enough. And I have not used all, and including not us, including the users itself. So I don't think we need another technology innovation to crack the problem. I think the real problem is what we have. Are we really using it? The answer is no. Or using enough? The answer is no. But what we are already having, and if there is an evolution happening, is more about the intelligence part. How can we make the data, which is the data storage, the data mining, using artificial intelligence to make it more even impactful. We can improve it, but for me there are two problems. First, what we have, let's eat what we already have enough, and then while we're eating, can I make it a little smarter by using artificial intelligence?
I think the other thing that we really, I'm sorry.
Susan, you were doing no, you go ahead. I think you were.
Okay. I think the other thing that would be really fantastic to see a lot more innovation. We see a little bit. It's just the overall concept of circularity. I think the batteries today, there's so many spent batteries. The extraction of those minerals is an incredibly intensive process in refining to begin with. And how we reuse that. There's some work happening in that space. And then so I think it's whether it's batteries, whether it's water usage in industrial processes, whether it's wood chips, I think that whole circular economy is super important for more innovation to happen. And one of the general rules of waste management is start off with less. Don't use it to begin with. You don't even have to think about how to recycle. And so I think that is also a really important level of innovation. And we see players in the market on, for example, batteries trying to get out of the use of these rare minerals and try to use solid state or other types of technology so that you're not having to think about those intensive resources that are in there. But that circular nature to me is really the next foray where we see a lot of pilots. We don't see the scale yet happening to solve. So if you have all those EV, that's fantastic, but then you got all these batteries and you got to dispose of them, and you're not really getting that value out of the material at the end of life. So how do we do that better?
I think the last comment would be sort of work everyone's doing and we're talking about how to reduce costs. There's another aspect I firmly believe in is how to get the consumer to pay more. I think that's the next challenge. I don't think it's impossible. All of us pay more for a better quality product, right? This is really for all the marketing and branding departments of companies, not just challenging the engineers and project managers constantly. Right? I firmly believe that there's a consciousness developing, especially in OECD countries, and people are willing to pay more. It is not significantly high. I understand that if Europe went all the way to green fertilizer, at the end consumer level, at the bread level, the cost of bread will only increase by 2.5%. I think a lot of people don't even know the inflation in times 2.5% for cost of bread, right? So I think that's a challenge for all businesses. It's like people say, aim for the future of this earth. So that's not something that is out of case. I think people will. So I think that's a business development marketing challenge for all of us.
Good. So I'm going to go shameless plug because you made that point. We did a study with World Economic Forum on all of the value chains in the world and what do the consumer needs to pay extra for the full value chain to be green. So we put a pair of jeans, like so it's $2 extra for a pair of jeans for the full. For a car it came to about $2,000, $3,000 extra. So all the value chains actually the premium required is very small. And then it all comes in steps of it.
working on the AI, further developments onto that. But again, all that needs, the manpower, the skilled manpower, which can take those steps forward. So that can come only, through training, through evolution, which the manufacturing companies, have to set up the basis for that and, impart that training culture. And in fact, I would take a step further. I said earlier also, cross-functional training also, because to optimize resources at the end of the day, for any manufacturing processes, that also needs to be taken into consideration. So it has to be a continuous process of scaling, upscaling, and development. That's what I feel.
I can also.
So just like 2 points there. Things are happening from our side. In IEW, we set up we understood this gap. There's a big gap of skills and skill. So we went ahead and set up a green school of sustainability with IEW, which is started courses for masters, and they're still going to go back and create a sustainable engineering right? So another example, completely unrelated. We have a friend of mine, he's in the transit business, innovative. Went and started 5 years ago with a company called in West Coast of US, creating skill sets for people to move into the energy transition sphere. So I'm just giving this example because always getting aligned with this environment, and there are things being done. So I think there's a big opportunity from us on that front as well to create this different skill set that we need.
So it's a very valid question. Today, when we get hires, we see that the competency gap is huge. So what we do is we do at multiple levels. We have almost volunteered and working with around 500 schools in the country where we train the youth. And so far we have trained 200,000 people, which means these are hiring companies like us, supporting students, or they become entrepreneurs, right? That's something we do. Then we have also been working with universities to bring the education or the practical part of the education on the final year. We did that when we were, I still go to colleges, we still have a stepper motors, and we are still sitting on technology labs which are 30 years old. So in this case, I'm not another MBA, we just did the NAMTech in Baroda. So we're building a full energy management labs, where the final semester, you're actually working on technology which you can practice tomorrow. It's not a technology of 30 years ago. There are schools in the country where we still need something which is 30 years old. So that's another initiative we are working with colleges and schools to build. And third, with our own company, we got around 1,000 GPs last year in the company. Then there's a 6 months learning curve, and we have a program called Guru, right? You go back to basics in the company while you are on the job. So I think that skilling is the challenge, and as more artificial and more technologies are coming, it's only becoming bigger and bigger. So very valid question, and I think it's a full responsibility of the ecosystem from the bottom to the higher to the positive.
Okay, so we'll close with that. Final comment saying more of your advice to places like these on skilling opportunities. Thanks to the panel. I think it will be wonderful and great insights. I think some of you are around.
Thank you.
पटा 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 नहीं